Hi, Dan Fatica of DJF. Today I'm going to be talking through the growth and establishment of my property portfolio. It's a collection of 5 buy-to-lets down in South Wales and a couple of larger, higher yielding units in Gloucester. The reason for doing this is by going through each project, you're going to be able to understand how I financed it, why I financed it a particular way, and how that puzzle all comes together, and ultimately the recurring cash flow that we've got going forward. Those of you that have met me will probably know that I am a hold forever guy. So there's nothing really here in the way of capital appreciation through trading, buying, refitting, selling a property. I would much prefer buy, refit a property and let £300-400 a month trickle in every single month for the rest of my life than 10, 20, 30k chunk. The way that I look at that 30k is great, that 30k profit that you might get from buying and selling a property, but what do you do now you've released that money? You've got a chunk of capital there, which is a tool, it's a spade that you need to go and put to work. So you're just creating a perpetual job for yourself. Far too lazy for that. So the first property we bought, 6 Barrow Street, a beautiful 3-bed, very tired, very dilapidated property down in South Wales. The purchase price for this property was 35k. It was a repossession, it hadn't been lived in for years and years and years. There was a local charge on the property, we'll get to that later on why that's significant, but the Scallies had been in, they'd been smashing windows, and it was all a bit boarded up and tatty. So viewed the property, start with securing the deal. We already had a bit of a presence in Port Talbot from my brother establishing his portfolio there. The property came to us from an agent which managed his portfolio and said, look, we've got this, it's come on. Is this something that you'd be interested in? It was asking £40,000. The property itself had been bought in 2007 for £65,000. A lot of you will know that a lot of areas in the UK are creeping up to their 2007 peak prices, but they're not quite there just yet. And this was a typical example. 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7 was a hell of a wave for property. The appreciation was crazy. So people were buying at massively inflated prices, led to the crash. So this property was available and asking £40,000 by the bank. The owner, we have no idea where they were, what they were doing. So we secured it for 35k. I spoke about this one in previous videos. Stamp duty threshold in a company, not in a company, is £40,000. So at the standard rate, that's 0% up to, I mean, it's changing all the time. I think it's 250k these days, maybe. Rishi, make it easy for me. But back then, the additional rate up to 125k was 0% if it was your first home. At the additional rate, it's 3% on top. So the 0% band in a company, or if you already own a property, would be 0 plus 3%. The next band up at 2% would be 2% plus 3% if you already owned another property and this was an additional property, or within a company. So you can't just set up a company and say, all right, this company owns one, this company owns one, this company owns one. No, the additional rate is applied to companies. So this was post 2016, it was 2017. So all the tax changes that were coming in to basically price out the little guy, the amateur landlord, they were in full flow. So going forward, depends on your personal circumstances, obviously, tax is very personal, depending on what you earn, but we went company. So all of this is in a company wrapper, 35k, no tax to pay, £0 tax. Got a builder in there, worked through recommendation again. My brother had done a number of refurbs in the area, so we had a bit of a reliable build team. That build came in at around about £12,000. All in, solicitors about £1,000. So we were in for 48k to buy the property. Fantastic. I had Angel Finance available for £40,000. I had 10k of my own. So with finance costs, finance costs would be in here somewhere. Finance costs were about £3 grand, I think. on and off in about 9 months. 48k. So refinanced it, and we got the 65k value. So again, the property had sold for that in 2007. Price on the street, I don't think has been broken since. But maybe this decade, hey, would be nice. I got an 80% mortgage on this property, which was amazing. 80% of that is £52,000 was the mortgage. Came in around about 3.7%. So my cash flow from this property, what it earned me every single month and has done since. We rented it very quickly at 410. Wasn't interested in waiting for top price. That rent today is 495, I think. Yes, it is 495, definitely. So this is 2017. No, it's not. It's January 2018. Around about. We bought it in July 17. In 3 years, we're up about 20%. So that's amazing. That's an extra 85 quid a month. The mortgage of the 52 was around 143.70. It's weird that I remember that. Management around about £50. Well, not quite, but we'll say in 50. So that property for the last 3-4 years has earned £200. The £12,000 renovation was a new kitchen, a new bathroom, sorting out the roof that was leaky, and a little bit of damp and boarding upstairs. That was property one. You'll see I spent 48, I suppose 51 if you include the interest. £51,000 to buy the property. The bank gave me 52, and I was earning £200 a month. So I very early saw that this model works well. I've not been able to buy another property for £35,000 since. If you're selling one, please get in touch. But that was number one. What did we do? Rinse and repeat. So that was 6 Borough Street. We found another, it was a probate case, the next property. Talbot Road, and that was asking around about 65. So I'll just run a starter for the portfolio. We're at about 210 6 BS. That's project one. Project two was 41 TR. Similar sort of process, much bigger refurb. This property was falling apart. It was a probate case that hadn't been lived in for a number of years. The roof needed fully replacing. That was £6,000, fantastic. But otherwise, you know, all of these are very standard. New kitchen, new bathroom, redecorate, maybe replaster, maybe a roof if you've left £6,000 in the roof for the project. So it's much more intense, the refurb. This was bought for 65k. That meant we did pay tax of around about 18, 19, 50. How am I calculating that? So that's 3%, the additional rate of 65k. Solicitors, another £1,000. They always need to get paid. We financed this project with Angel Finance for 6 months at 10% of a 50k loan. So this was split 50k and 15k from the previous project. So 52k wasn't ours, 40k loan, 10k of my own, and that just re-rolled, rolled. So you'll see that the critical part to scaling a portfolio is always around raising finance. Clients that have 100k, 200k, 300k that can't put together the puzzle of raising finance to fund a property project will slow down. Ultimately, you know, until they earn more money, they're going to slow down. These things take a lot of capital investment to earn that cash flow. So the refurb for this one was 30k. It was very comprehensive, so 6k in the roof, new kitchen, new bathroom, replaster the whole place, redecorate the whole place, carpets. It valued up much higher. This is around about 115k. We've just refinanced it. Yes, it's around 115, 120. Again, we went for an 80% mortgage. Sorry, that's not correct. That's the wrong number. 115k over here. We got an 80% mortgage, and that was about 88k. Oh, percent. 88k from the mortgage to repay all of this. So we were leaving a bit of money in the deal here. We're at what, 65, we're at 68, we're at £98,000. So it's not exactly money in, money out, but you know, £15,000, well, £10,000 is my money left in. There's £10,000 difference there left in the deal. Got 88k back. That's enough to pay back the investor, most of the other investor, and the 10k my own left in that project. This one, much bigger house, rented for around about £600 per month, day one. That tenant has been in there ever since. So what's that? It was May 18 that we bought this. Pen's giving up. May 18 that we bought this property, £600. That mortgage was around about 288 quid a month. Our agents were around 60, 350, and we're at 350 costs per month. We're at around about 250 cash flow, save operating expense. So that's two. We're up to round about £6,000 a year from those two. Let's call that, oh no, 250. I'm gonna have to change pen, aren't I? Blue one. Let's go. 210, much better. 250. 250 times 12, we're around about 3k a year. That's probably as low as I'd want to go on a deal. You're earning £3,000 a month, a year, with 10,000 committed to the property. That's a 30% ROI. Much lower than that, and probably, well, I mean, we do deals at lower than that, but the cash flow, or it's personal preference, I suppose. I wouldn't say that it's lighting the world on fire, definitely not. But if it's bringing in enough and you're just parking money, it does a job, it does a job. So then we did 10BT. Now I'm going to speed up here because this is getting a bit dull. Numbers on this property were purchased 55. That's 1.5 tax, 1,000 legals, about 12 again on the refurb. We're in for 55, 1.5, 1, 12, 57.5, 70k. This one valued up at 85. We went 75% here, which was around about 63 and a bit. 0.75, we had 7k left in. This one rented for 500 day one, had about 150 on the mortgage. No, it wasn't, it was more than that, maybe 60. With 50 on management, another 50 for operating expense, and we're earning 250 on £7,000 a year committed. So just to speed this up because it is getting a bit dull, 3k out of 7k, we're closer to sort of 40% ROI there, 40 to 50%. That's much better. And we're slowly starting to see our balance sheet grow. Again, so this property was purchased back end of 2018, maybe the very start of 2019. This rent today is £595. We've renewed it recently, so our cash flow is closer to 340 on this property, which is amazing. We've got all our money out after these years. Tenants tend to stay 2 to 3 years. Advice around finding good tenants: don't pick the first one, be fussy. You want people that are probably older than 30 if they're DSS, or yeah, if they're DSS, definitely. So DSS, Department of Social Security, these people that are earning, are paying their way through Universal Credit. Universal Credit's great. The challenge with Universal Credit is if your tenants go and get jobs, they can lose them. They need to be re-uploaded to the system. That takes time. So you need to work through that and maybe be on top of it from a management point of view. Over about 35, people tend to have, having been moved around a lot through that system, want to stay put. Ordinarily, a couple of young kids near a primary school or near a hospital. This is all going into when you're finding your location for the properties. Why are you looking there? What sort of tenant class are you looking for? Certain streets will be DSS streets, certain streets will be family, young family streets, other streets will be owner occupiers. You know, the streets with trees lined either side, big detached properties, probably not going to be the house that's rented to your Universal Credit tenants. Likewise, the houses on Universal Credit streets, Coronation Street style houses, rows and rows of terraces, probably not going to be appropriate for young professional families. Mum and dad are doctors, nurses, teachers. They're going to be maybe renting or aspiring to own on the tree-lined streets. So agents will talk you through all of that, but that's really critical to understanding the demand in that area. Next property was 45 TR, very similar to this one, same numbers, rented a little bit higher. What did we purchase that for? So this was a couple separating, so we bought it relatively well, given the conditions. So there was a new kitchen, there was a reasonable kitchen that needed tidying up. There was a bathroom that needed refreshing, but the plaster was great, the roof was great, decoration was okay, new carpets. So the refurb was pretty light on this one. It was about 10k. We purchased for 85, I think. It's about 3k of tax, another k of legals, 10k reno, very light. Not structural, so you're not replacing the kitchen, you're tidying it up, you might paint it. The bathroom, again, you're not ripping out showers and putting in baths, you're maybe relining or retiling, maybe changing a couple of the units, sink and toilet, but nothing, not gutting a room and reinstalling it. So that was the strategy here. We came in at 99k. And this one, we left this one on a 2-year fix until very recently, just because we had the money to go and do the next deal anyway. So we didn't need to pay the early redemption charges to come out. We bought this one with a mortgage. It was mortgageable. There's something there from an accountancy point of view, how your money is deemed with a property company. You can, if you can let a property and you're improving it, the money that you spend improving it can be added as a loss. The money, and I can't remember the technical term, there's something between something like repair and investment. Anyway, this could be added to our balance sheet as a loss, reducing our tax liability. So that was good. The reason that we could justify that was because we bought this with a mortgage, I think 80%, 68k, 17k deposit. That's how this one was financed. 10 Vivian was financed with a 50k angel loan and a first charge. Again, putting that piece of the puzzle together, angel finance is really what's enabled us to scale up at this rate. Gives you greater flexibility, sometimes costs a little bit more, but not always. That's a negotiation for you guys. So 99k. Oh, valued the last one. This one's just been valued 117k. So it came in at 177 in my dreams. 117k. We've gone 75%. It's just shy of 90 again, so 88. The rate is 2.99% for you guys that are interested. So 88k, we've got 11k left in the deal, rented for 620, I think. That literally completed 2 weeks ago, so I don't know off the top of my head what the mortgage is. It'll be around about 280. Let's go 3% of, call it 90k, that's £3,000 a year, that's £250 a month, so we're down. Yeah, that maths works. So it's going to be cheaper than that because we've not got 90k. It's 250. We've got 60 quid management. We've got 60 quid operating expense. That's 370. 250 per month. Again, 250. Here we are, 3k. Every property we're trying to put 10% operating expenses to one side. That's for your EPC, it's for your insurance, it's for leaky tap, it's for plumber call out, all that sort of thing that will go wrong in property. It's not if, it's when. Even the most thorough refurbs, you occasionally have to have your handyman fly out to look at some bits. So don't run on razor thin margins, but certainly when you're scaling up, obviously you're trying to refinance as much money out as possible to go into the next, go into the next, go into the next. So that's where we are. Finally, the fifth property in the area was an end of terrace with a large garage. Again, this was a probate property. Granny hadn't lived there for many, many years. It was cold, it was wet, it was damp. We spent a bit more on this refurb because it was a much bigger property. I think the refurb came in at around about 17k, 17. Again, purchase price was 80 to 85, let's say 85. Don't have the figures to hand. 17k refurb, we've got 3k. So we're up to 105k. This one valued up considerably higher. It had a large detached large detached garage at the rear. And it tenanted for the most that we've rented a property for. It was 650 per month. Again, we bought this one with a mortgage. We actually went 70% deposit because Paragon insisted that we do that. 70% mortgage, so that was around about 60k for the mortgage and 25k, or maybe just shy, 55 maybe. That was the purchase. 17k refurb, kitchen, bathroom. We actually tiled the kitchen and bathroom all the way through, matching tiles, so there was a better feel to the property. This is getting out of DSS territory. You're certainly looking towards professional families, doctors, nurses. There's a big hospital nearby, teachers, there's schools nearby. So that was the class here. Very popular area, garage for cars and that sort of thing. I mean, not everyone has those, but still 10-15 minute walking distance into the town. Valued up at 125k, which was fantastic. Again, we went 75% on this one, so we pulled out something like 93k. 12k left in, it's okay. 93k at 3%, we are just over 250 per month, which is fine. 250, we've got 65 on management and 65 on the agent. On the operating expenses, what's that together? That's 380, I think. Yes, it is 380, 385. 385. So we're cash flowing north of 265 per month times 12. We're at 3k again. So 11k s 265. So you can see that these are pretty good accumulators, slowly but surely fixing these up. Builds a pretty solid cash flow in the background. So we're up to 265, 3k again. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 5 of those. God, what is that? So that's 1, 250, give or take. It'll take a few quid per month. Those rents have crept up. Again, that's with the 10% operating expenses of the lot. And then we're into the Gloucester portfolio. So the shop and 2 flats that we bought were tenanted for years and years and years with the same owners that had enough of owning the property. We bought it for around 175 was the purchase, and that was 70% from Shawbrook and 30% from us. Around about 50k deposit, so I think 1, 2, 3 to 50k. And the shop is made up of, the building is made up of a shop, a studio, and a 1-bed flat over 2 floors. So you've got windows, front door, big shop front here. The shop had been tenanted for 8 years or so, so we knew that was performing lower than average. When we bought it, it was about 450, 350, 450. Plain and simple strategy here is to just refresh the building and get those market rents to much higher. So this is now 700, this is now 500, and this chap has stayed in place, but that really is 600, maybe 650. There's potential for that to be a 2-bed, but we've not gone in there. The tenants stayed there, they're happy for now. So eventually this property will be worth considerably more than the 175 we bought for it, probably closer to 250. But we bought it on a 5-year fixed with Shawbrook, and at the end of the 5 years, our intention is to have all of these finished and refurbed and be able to release this. So we'll re-gear to that price. We've not spent a huge amount on the shop, that's just been re-let. The studio we did refresh and refurb, so that was kitchen and bathroom. A lot of that was done ourselves because it's local to home. It's local to my parents, so we've got cheaper resources there. Thanks, Dad. And Matt, obviously. So eventually, we're hoping to get the valuation around here, but we won't know that until 2024. But for now, the cash flow for the property is around about £1,000 per month. Shawbrook also asked that we make a 10% contribution towards down paying the mortgage over the term, I think. So that mortgage is on a small repayment basis over the term, so that's great as well. And this one is generating around about £1,000 per month. So we've got 17 WS at 1,000. And finally, the property which we've got going through is a 6-bed historic HMO. It was licensed, it's got a lapsed license, it's got most of the electrical features, but they need updating and upgrading. The numbers for it are TBC. We're trying to buy it at around 300k with 80%, so that is going to be 300k. How's that split? We're buying with a mortgage because we're not doing that much work to it. So that's 240k mortgage, 60k deposit, and the refurb's about 30k. Again, there's not huge amounts. Decoration's fine, the flooring's fine, the fire doors are in. Kitchen needs refreshing, probably white goods, and one of the bathrooms needs renewing. So I think that's pretty conservative, to be honest, but we'll see after we've purchased. At the moment, I'm struggling like hell to get a surveyor in to value the property, but that's part of the game, that's the challenge. This mortgage will be around about 4%. It's going to be a 6-bed HMO. The room rents are around 400 to 425 per room. There's not many 6 beds on the market. In fact, the agents that we've been to pending it coming online or purchasing it have said that they don't have any 6 beds available, so that's fantastic. That suggests that demand is there. We've also got a couple of 6 beds in the student portfolio anyway, so we know that they're full. And this is just an addition to. The mortgage at 240 is going to be around about £800. The cash flow from, let's call it 2,400, 6 times 400 per room is going to be, there's 200 bills allowance, there's 800 for the mortgage. We self-manage, so that's around 1,400 per month, times 17, times 12. Times 12 takes us to 16,800, and we'll be around about 100k invested. So it's not a rock star 30-40% HMO, but we've got a chunk of cash to park, and we thought this was a pretty good place to do it given the synergy with the other student portfolio as well. So that is where we're at. Where am I? So 62 WS, 1,400. And this is really where we're looking to add more because we're just getting there that much faster. They are going to be a lot more work. There's 6 people sharing a house, more people, more problems. But we will continue to collect these year on year because they just run themselves like clockwork. How can you scale further from this point? So just totting that up, we're at 1,250 from the buy-to-let portfolio. We will be at 2,400 from the Gloucester portfolio. That's a reasonable chunk to be reinvested. You know, this isn't Dan's fun money. This is not drawn on whatsoever. It's all going back in. It's all paying for more refurbs and more deposits. So eventually, the target will be closer to, I don't know, let's get to 10 and see where we're at. But that's taken 4 years, 5 years. June this year will be from little baby over here, 5 years to build what is pretty solid cash flow. So that's where we are, and scaling that, going further. This is the key to that is first deal generation. Those of you that missed Mark's talk Monday night, you really missed out because it's a very hot market at the moment. There's not a great deal of stock coming online, which means when it does come online, every man and their dog are viewing it and putting in an offer, so prices are just creeping up. There is that upward pressure, and I think that's going to continue. Definitely, rents are creeping up, which means people can afford to pay more for the asset price because they know that the return is going up with it. So where the rents were 400 for a 70k house, if the rents are now 600, you know, the numbers work at maybe 80, maybe 85, maybe 90. And that's the sort of psychology that's going on in people's heads. They'll go through maths calculation, how much money is going to be left in at this refurb, so how much can I afford to pay and still earn my 20% target on cash invested. If it's 30, I can pay X. If it's 40, if it's 50, working that out. So deal generation is definitely absolutely critical. What else is really important is angel finance will really unlock all of this. It's raising funds from people to deliver, you know, 6, 8, 10% return for their cash that's sat idle. enables you to go out and piece together these deals. You're getting value by buying properties well at a good price. You're getting value from builders. Hopefully, £1 spent equals £2 in value, or at least £1.20 in value. So you're making a bit of a margin there, and with a rising market of rents and values, then you're able to extract those funds that are raised short term at 8, 9, 10% a year, and replace them with mortgage finance at 3 or 4. So that's how we've got to where we're at. And going forward, a couple more HMOs to really kick on. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope it's illustrated some of the challenges in a roundabout way of what looks like a deal, what sort of budget would be typical for a baby buy-to-let refurb. Is it 12, is it 20, is it 25? What's that going to cost to turn that property around? And also the finance piece in the background, how does that work? Why have you done it one way versus another? Ultimately, Angel Finance is going to be your most flexible form of finance. Make sure that it's a good partner, because they can have you by the short and curlies if they have a first charge over the property. There will be delays, there are probably going to be budget overruns, but that's your job as an investor to manage each of those out. And any questions, concerns or challenges, just give us a call. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks, take care, bye.